Assalamu alaikum. This is Pratusha Borwal welcoming you to the English news from Btv Chattogram. Let's begin with the top stories. Cabinet approves law to abolish duty-free car facilities for MPs. Bangladesh calls for fair global financial structure and sustainable LDC transition at UN Forum. Government increases fuel price slightly despite manifold increase in global market, says Finance and Planning Minister. Bangladesh Bank launches low-interest pre-shipment loan facility for exporters. No deal with Iran unless it is appropriate and beneficial for United States, says UN President Trump. And Bangladesh draw 5-5 with Chinese Taipei in Asian Games Women's Hockey Qualifier in Jakarta. Viewers, those were the top stories. Now moving on to the details. The Cabinet gave final and in-principle approval to the draft of Members of Parliament Remuneration and Allowances Amendment Act 2026 scrapping duty-free vehicle facility for the lawmakers yesterday. According to a Cabinet division press release, Prime Minister Tareq Rahman presided over the meeting at the Cabinet room in the Shongbad Bhavan in the capital last night. The remuneration and allowances are usually determined under the Members of Parliament Remuneration and Allowances Order 1973. According to Article 3C of the order, Members of Parliament enjoy the facility of importing duty-free vehicles. However, considering the current economic realities and in light of far-sighted approach of the Prime Minister, the Cabinet gave approval to the draft of Members of Parliament Remuneration and Allowances Amendment Act 2026 to scrap the duty-free vehicle facility for MPs. Besides, the Cabinet approved two proposals including incorporating the Purvachal New Town project area under the jurisdiction of Dhaka North City Corporation, Dhaka Metropolitan Police and Dhaka Wasa. As per the approved proposal, the portions of the Purvachal project located in Rupganj Upazila of Narayanganj district and Kaliganj Upazila of Gazipur district will be brought under Dhaka district. According to the summary, the Ministry of Housing and Public Works placed a proposal aimed at ensuring administrative services, safety and security of the properties and the delivery of civic services in the project area under the Rajdhani Unnayan Kortripokho Raju. The Cabinet also approved another proposal placed by the Commerce Ministry to change the date for observance of the National Tea Day. Currently, Bangladesh observes the day on June 4, but the Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO) of the United Nations (UN) has been observing the International Tea Day on May 21 since 2020. Several tea-producing countries such as India, Sri Lanka, China, Kenya, and Vietnam also observe the day on May 21. Therefore, Bangladesh has taken the initiative to observe the National Tea Day on May 21st, aligning with the FAO instead of the June 4. Besides, the Cabinet gave final approval to the draft of Bangladesh Securities and Exchange Commission Amendment Act 2026 and the Insurance Development and Regulatory Authority Amendment Act 2026 subject to vetting by Legislative and Parliamentary Affairs Division. Both bills placed by the Financial Institutions Division proposed removal of existing age limits for appointment of the Chairman and Commissioners of Bangladesh Securities and Exchange Commission (BSEC) and the Chairman and members of the Insurance Development and Regulatory Authority (IRDA). Under the existing law, the maximum age limit is 65 years for the BSEC chairman and the commissioners, while it is 67 years for the chairman and members of IDRA. The cabinet observed that the age limits were obstacles in appointing qualified and experienced professionals and approved the amendments in the public interest. Many Asian countries, including Malaysia and Sri Lanka, do not impose such age restrictions. Bangladesh has called for urgent global action to narrow the widening SDG financing gap and build a fair, inclusive financial system while seeking a smooth and sustainable graduation from LDC status. The call was made by Bangladesh Permanent Representative to the UN Salahuddin Noman Chaudhry while speaking at the general debate of the United Nations Economic and Social Council ECOSOC Financing for Development Forum 2026 at the UN headquarters in New York on Thursday, said a press release received in Dhaka today. Chaudhry said geopolitical conflict, falling official development assistance, climate shocks, trade barriers, and energy uncertainties were shrinking the policy space for developing countries. In this context, he said Bangladesh sought an extension of its LDC graduation preparatory period to ensure a smooth and sustainable transition. The envoy also highlighted the country's progress in political and economic recovery, saying the government was focusing on maintaining macroeconomic stability, restoring business confidence, strengthening the banking sector, promoting investment, and expanding direct support for vulnerable people. Stressing the need to reduce debt servicing costs and avoid inefficient infrastructure-related debt, he called for directing foreign direct investment into productive and job-creating sectors alongside technology transfer. Chaudhry further urged a more representative global financial system, climate justice, effective action on loss and damage, and return of stolen assets to their rightful owners. Finance and Planning Minister Amir Khosrow Mahmood Chaudhry said the price of fuel has been increased slightly, keeping in mind the farmers, workers, and hardworking people of the country despite manifold increase in the global market. He made this comment in response to queries from journalists after the inauguration ceremony of the Saraswati Gyanu Mandir at the University of Chittagong today. Early in the program, the Finance Minister said the government wants to build a stable, tolerant, and humane country. University of Chittagong Vice Chancellor Professor Mohammad Al Furqan presided over, while State Minister for Land and Chittagong Hill Tracts Affairs Mir Mohammad Helal Uddin, Special Assistant to the Prime Minister Bijon Kanti Sarkar, Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister ABM Abdul Sattar, University Pro Vice Chancellor Professor Dr. Shamim Uddin Khan, Pro Vice Chancellor Professor Dr. Muhammad Kamal Uddin, Temple's founder and chairman Abul Anita Trust Abdul Kanti Chaudhry, Divisional Commissioner Dr. Muhammad Ziauddin, Chattogram Deputy Commissioner Muhammad Zahidul Islam Mia, and Professor Tapashi Ghosh Roy were present on the occasion. Bangladesh Bank has launched a low-interest pre-shipment loan facility for exporters. Out of its 10,000 crore taka export support pre-finance fund, 5,000 crore taka has been allocated for this purpose. Banks will be able to borrow from the fund at a 2% interest rate and lend to clients at a maximum of 5%. Exporters can use these loans to cover expenses incurred before shipping their goods. The central bank's decision has received a positive response from exporters. Businessmen said the availability of low-interest loans will help revive export trade, which has been facing prolonged stagnation. They said easier access to funds will help businesses pay workers on time. Even during the global slowdown, it will also help reduce labor unrest. Bangladesh Government Manufacturers and Exporters Association President said the government led by Prime Minister Tareq Rahman has taken prompt and positive steps for export-oriented sectors since assuming office. He added that the 5,000 crore taka fund at a 5% interest rate will significantly support businesses and help boost exports. Bangladesh Bank mentioned that Export-oriented sectors including the ready-made garments industry are under pressure due to global economic uncertainty and ongoing conflicts in the Middle East and Europe. The pre-shipment refund systems has been introduced to sustain export growth, keep production running and increase foreign currency inflows. According to a circular issued on 9th April, all banks in the country will be eligible to access the fund. The scheme will remain in effect until December 2030. A single organization will be able to borrow a maximum of 200 crore taka, including interest, at any given time. Now, international news. US President Donald Trump said the US will not make any deal with Iran unless the conditions are favorable. Although Washington has ruled out the possibility of a nuclear attack, it has increased military activity in the Persian Gulf region. The US has deployed at least 26 warships, including 2 aircraft carriers. It has also been ordered to open fire on suspicious vessels laying mines. On the other hand, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said they want a solution through talks, not war, although US sanctions and pressure are making dialogue difficult. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said Iran has a chance to make a good, wise deal, adding that the US naval blockade of Iranian ports is growing and global. Echoing comments from Donald Trump, Hegseth said the US isn't anxious to make a deal and the ball is in Iran's court. The next stage of peace talks between the US and Iran remains uncertain, but Pakistani sources and Iranian state media reported that Iran's foreign minister is expected in Islamabad tonight. Meanwhile, Iran has received its first revenue from tolls imposed on the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's semi-official Tasnim news agency reported this on Thursday. A member of the parliament's presiding board told the agency that he had learned from reliable sources that Iran has imposed fees on passing ships. The charges vary by ship type, cargo volume, and associated risks, he said, adding that Iran sets the rules for assessing and collecting these fees. According to him, revenues previously collected from these charges are currently being transferred into the Unified Treasury account. In a separate report, Hamid Reza Habib, a deputy speaker of the parliament, said the first revenue received from the Strait of Hormuz tolls was deposited into the central bank account. Iran tightened its grip on the Strait of Hormuz after Israel and the United States launched their joint strikes on Iran on February 28. The United States also imposed a naval blockade targeting ships going to and from Iran after peace negotiations in Islamabad collapsed. Sri Lanka has launched an investigation after hackers breached the finance ministry's computer systems and stole $2.5 million. The funds were part of a bilateral debt repayment to Australia with a settlement due in September 2025. Authorities believe the diversion took place sometime in January, though details are only now emerging. Harshana Sumiprema, the Finance Ministry Secretary, told media on Thursday that even though Sri Lanka had made the due payments, the cyber criminals had intervened and diverted it to the other bank accounts instead of the intended recipient. He said 4 senior officers of the Public Debt Management Office had been suspended and that they were seeking assistance from foreign law enforcement agencies. Now, sports news. Hockey. Bangladesh drew 5-5 with Chinese Taipei in the Asian Games Women's Hockey qualifiers in Jakarta of Indonesia. This is the first time Bangladesh is playing in the Asian Games women's hockey qualifiers. Bangladesh took the lead twice in this exciting match as Urpita Paul scored a hat-trick. Chinese Taipei, which has played in the Asian Games twice, at one stage cornered Bangladesh. However, in the end, Bangladesh held them back and left the field with a 5-5 draw.